So Iran negotiations on edge this morning after the United States conducted self-defense strikes near the Strait of Hormuz Monday.
And Iran's supreme leader is calling for an end to U.S. military bases in the Gulf region, saying, quote, the hands of time will not turn back.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst joining us now live from Tel Aviv with the very latest. Good morning, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Overnight, the United States conducted airstrikes against southern Iran near the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says these strikes were defensive in nature and went after mine-laying vessels along with a surface-to-air missile position. These were the first U.S. strikes that have targeted Iran since early May. A spokesperson for Iran's armed forces said any new aggression will be met with a far more severe response. The strikes come amid the backdrop of ongoing diplomatic efforts to reach an agreement between Iran and the United States. Overnight, President Trump laid out a condition that he has, saying on Truth Social, the enriched uranium nuclear dust will either be immediately turned over to the United States to be brought home and destroyed, or preferably in conjunction and coordination with the Islamic Republic of Iran, destroyed in place or at another acceptable location with the Atomic Energy Commission or its equivalent being witness to this process and event. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The other key issue has to do with the Strait of Hormuz. Secretary of State Marco Rubio reiterated the Trump administration position on this critical waterway during a gaggle today.
The straits have to be open. They're going to be open one way or the other. So they need to be open. What's happening there is unlawful, it's illegal, it's unsustainable for the world, it's unacceptable. That cannot happen. The straits need to be open, unimpeded, without tolls. And obviously that needs to happen immediately, as soon as anything.
We're also tracking developments in the conflict between Israel and Iran's largest proxy, Hezbollah. The Israelis have vowed to ramp up strikes on the group amid ongoing drone and rocket attacks launched from southern Lebanon.
I want to bless the residents of the North's resilience that inspires all of us. But what this requires of us now is to increase the blows, to increase the intensity. We will smite them with overwhelming force.
A regional source told Fox News more talks are scheduled for later this week between the Israeli and Lebanese governments aimed at increasing diplomatic relations between the two countries and getting rid of Hezbollah. Guys?
So, Trey, I know there's talk about the deal, but it's hard to say that the Iranians are serious about the deal, and they always talk. That's just part of their propaganda. But they're laying mines in the Strait, which is a violation of the deal that they want to get done with the United States. So how can we even take them seriously?
It's a great question, and it's a major challenge for the Trump administration because they are dealing with bad faith actors at the negotiating table. And despite the fact that there is an immense amount of economic pressure on the Iranian regime, they are still doing what they can to disrupt international shipping because they see the Strait of Hormuz as the last critical piece of leverage that they have. Their nuclear program was destroyed during Operation Midnight Hammer last summer. During Operation Epic Fury, much of their military was dismantled, including their navy that now sits at the bottom of the sea. And they're running out of cards to play at the negotiating table during very high-level talks that are still taking place. A regional diplomat confirmed to Fox News overnight that Iran's Speaker of the Parliament and also the country's foreign minister remained in Doha, Qatar, to try and hammer out some of those details. But as it relates to these mine-laying vessels and what was targeted overnight, it's an indication that the Iranians still have the ability to disrupt international shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. And that was the reason that the United States conducted these strikes against those small mine-laying vessels that remain, and also some of these surface-to-air launching positions that are close to the city of Bandar Abbas.
So,
guys?
Just to pick up on that, because you've been doing great reporting about the meetings in Doha between the Parliament Speaker, Gallup, and the Foreign Minister, Arachi, are they actually holding weight to make decisions at that negotiating table?
So they're doing a couple things here. They are polishing the details as it relates to the Strait of Hormuz and also Iran's highly enriched uranium that President Trump made very clear overnight must be exported from Iranian territory. He's not going to allow this material to stay inside of Iran that would give the Iranians a path to a nuclear weapon. But the Qataris play a critical role here, and one of those roles has to do with the economic element and what the Iranians will receive in return. Now, U.S. officials have been very clear. The Iranians are not going to get any sort of sanctions relief or oil sanctions waivers unless they adhere to their end of this deal. But if they do, some of those funds are actually tied up in Qatar. And that is the reason that the Qataris are playing this direct role in some of these behind-the-scenes negotiations to understand how these funds are going to be released and a manner in which they're going to do so. Because what the Trump administration is going to avoid here is the mistake of the Obama administration, and that was just providing the Iranian regime with pallets of cash or unlimited funds that they, according to their own foreign ministry spokesperson yesterday, would channel back into their missile and drone programs. And so there's a lot of moving parts here at the negotiating table, and they're trying to, in parallel, ensure that an agreement can be reached as it relates to the Strait of Hormuz, and then enter into those nuclear negotiations, while also ensuring that the Iranians aren't just getting free money or sanctions relief that they would then use to try and prop up their military program.
Trey, you've been saying that the president, we all read it on Truth Social, that to turn over this enriched uranium so that it can be brought home, we can destroy it here or we can destroy it there. What's the likelihood that they will come to the table and they will agree to that? Because that's really why we got into this conflict in the first place, to make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon.
It's a great question, and it's unlikely that they will allow this highly enriched uranium to be exported to the United States. Iranian state media has floated the idea of doing this process in China or dismantling it internally. They have the ability to basically reverse the steps here. Remember, when we talk about how uranium is ultimately enriched, it starts with that uranium ore that is mined from the ground. It's then, through a chemical reaction, turned into yellow cake and then into hexafluoride gas. And they spin that gas very rapidly in these advanced centrifuges, and the heavier particles go to the outside and the lighter ones stay in the middle. And so they repeat this process over and over, and ultimately the Trump administration wants to ensure they cannot do this in the future.
Great job, as always, Trey.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trey.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.